you know, as I sat back and just looking at the room before you even came, you know, started speaking, I thought, wow, look at the quality and the caliber of the people in this room. I really thought that to myself. Those were two words, and I'm like, should I raise my hand? Should I say something? Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that twice, which is kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. And you know, Bob, you've been on a journey. My hat off to you. You've been on a journey. Started with a few members, and you were bringing people on, networking. What is this? And, I mean, the people that you brought on. You know, I love what you described, the way you described the group. Because I'm able to go out now and say highly successful professionals that happen to network well. I always find myself when I'm describing the group and bringing in a guest, for some reason the word heart comes out.
That's great.
You know, and you brought that out many times again today. But I can't describe it. This is what I say to people: that the group has heart. I don't know what I mean by it. I just know that, you know, it is highly successful people that where there's a heart, where we care. And you know, as I started reflecting again as I sat here, we're in this building for a reason. Yeah. Because the CEO of the Red Cross came as a guest. We've stepped up. Many folks have organized things, contributions for some of the things that have happened out there. So, you know, it's also very meaningful that we're here. And, you know, I just thought that, you know, the book you discussed, The Go-Giver, and help people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Yeah. There's just something about the universe. You know, you can say, ooh, you're getting a little, you know, voodoo here with me, but it is the way that it works, and I think that the people that are here realize that. I just wanted to share that, and you know, Bob has, you know, we all when we start a business are trying to figure it out, right? And he started here, you know, and I think he's figured it out, and with your help, of course, and I can see where it came from.
Well, we help each other. You know, I might be the founder, but we everybody who has a business partner or who dreams about having one should have one like Bob.
Thank you. And ditto to that. You know, I've been very fortunate. And, you know, what Danny brings up is really worth expanding on, because a few things happen here that when you tell it to people that don't know the ABA, they don't get it. We had a member, underline the word had a member, who was the largest Xerox distributor in the country. He's a great guy, you know, and he had to leave ABA for whatever reason. But the floods came, and they came bad. And they knocked out his entire operation, 3 blocks from here, to a point where they didn't know what to do, and they sent an email to me. And they said, do you know anybody that can help us out? We're completely out of business. And I took the email, and I sent it through the rosters of the ABA. And I do not expand on this. This is actual fact. In less than 20 minutes, he had 4 opportunities to move in immediately. He wound up getting an opportunity to move less than, I guess it's a half a mile away, run his business month to month, had the space, completely saved his entire business because of people in the ABA. And who gave him the space was one of the members. And that's the kind of stuff that happens here. This is like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you never really leave. All right?
And we have people that have checked in and have never left.
It is true. I mean, you know, Sam here, you know, sends out an email the other day, does anybody know this guy in banking? Well, he used to be a member of ABA. He left the bank that was here, so the bank is not longer a member. And they've been gone for a couple of years. Sam, what'd you get? 4 emails immediately? Made the connection, made the deal, the whole thing. Nobody ever forgot. Like, you know. And so, you know, that's what makes this special. That is what Danny talks about the heart. You know, one of the most inspirational things ever here was when the floods came, and one of the members called me up, sent me an email, our friend Mike, and he said, Bob, I think we should do something for the Red Cross. And I said, you know, Mike, I agree with you 1,000%, but one of my problems is I really don't like to ask people for money. They pay a membership fee, and that's really something that they should have to make that choice on their own. So if you'll allow me to use you as the generator of this idea, we'll do it. And we sent out an email, and we suggested that you know, you generally go to lunch and you spend 40 or 50 bucks on lunch. Take one day of lunch and contribute it to the Red Cross. At a meeting, I think we gave him $1,250. Okay, it was astounding. Same individuals, David, Michael, and a gentleman who's no longer with us moved to California, cut a deal. I didn't even know about it. I had no idea what they were doing. And again, you know, everybody worries about category exclusivity. You know, this is my area, this is what I do. Well, they made a deal with a guy who's, you know, shares the area. And, you know, he's in finance too. And they brought him in on this deal or vice versa. I don't even know how it went. All I know is they came to a meeting and they said, is the CEO of the Red Cross here today? And I said, oh, yeah, I guess so. Why? I said, could you call him down? They called him down, brought Ray in. They walked up, gave Ray a check for $2,000, right, David? Because it was part of their profit from whatever deal they made, and it was kind of an odd number or whatever the case was, and they decided to share it with the Red Cross. These are the kind of people that are in the ABA. There is no doubt about it, and that is what makes this extremely special. Everyone does business. If you didn't do business, you wouldn't be here. You need a return on your investment of time and money. That's just good business. Makes sense. But the rest of it, you just can't calculate. You can't figure it out. It doesn't resonate with some people. And they're like, oh, you're kidding. This is what this is. This is why we're small numbers. This is why we're intimate relationships that go on for years and years. People go to people's children's weddings and bar mitzvahs and all these things, you know, that you only do with people that are special in your life.
Any other questions? Somebody want to ask? Just another comment about resources today. And, you know, Bob touched on it in terms of getting people's needs met. As an individual business owner or person, the resources that you have to solve other people's problems are more valuable than the work that you do for the people that you do it for. Because when you can solve the problems, you are adding value that cannot be calculated. To have the example of the people with the flood is just, that's a monumental one. You can't really put a price on it, because what would have happened if their needs didn't get met? How much money would have been lost? Maybe they would have gone out of business if they didn't have the right resources. But today, the value that you bring is when you bring an expert that you know to somebody else, and that person adds value. That's money in the bank. That is an asset that you're sharing that would ordinarily be, Gene uses the analogy of a backpack, and everybody puts their stuff in it, and they zip it up and they put it on their back, and they walk around like it means something. You know, you have to take the backpack off. This is all the people that you know, and you have to take all their information out, and you have to put it in a basket in front of you, and you have to share it. You have to make connections. If you're not doing that, those assets that you have, those people that you know, are flat, they're dormant, they're nothing. So when I said before, your job here is to make connections for people. Fun, interesting connections. The only way you do that is by having more conversations. The people that are most successful with this process make the most opportunity calls. They bring people together. We spoke a little bit, I don't know whether or not you shared tribal leadership.
No.
Huh?
No, I don't.
Okay. You can go online to tribal leadership, and the book is right there. Anybody read it? Okay, so a few people understand that it's not about you and me. Okay, that works. But when you bring other people into the mix and you create a triad, the amount of energy and information is multiplied. So when you have opportunity calls with each other, I'm encouraging you to make it a threesome, to bring somebody else into the mix, to make an introduction. And don't worry about whether or not there's a business deal or that there's even any commonality. The commonality will make itself evident when people start to speak. That's what happens. Huh?
Very good. Any other questions?
I have one more.
Yes.
So with LinkedIn, what's your criteria for adding somebody to LinkedIn. So
Oh, that's
you
a good
get,
question.
because, you know, the number, I agree, is not the issue. But there are all degrees of, you know, knowing somebody, and if a friend of a friend, you know, is now someone who you referred to someone else, is that enough? Do you need to talk to them on the phone? Do you have to have a meeting? You know, when do you add and when do you not add?
If I don't know that person, if we haven't had eye contact and I don't have a sense of what that person is in terms of their expertise and whether or not they're actually referable, I don't bring them in. I can't.
What about a long phone call, even though it's not a...
You know what? If that long phone call gives you a sense of comfort, and now this is an interesting take on this. Who is a guest in the room today? Who can somebody tell me who brought you?
Michelle Arpin Jr., who's actually not here.
Who brought you?
The same person.
Who else is a guest?
Lynn Berman.
Good. Pat?
Judy.
Okay, good.
Dan.
Right. I don't know what these people said to you that compelled you to get up on a rainy day and do what they said. I don't know. I don't know. But it was their influence that made that happen. If you feel that the influence is strong enough to invite that person into your world, then by all means, invite them. If you don't think that influence is there, what's the point?
Well, one of the criteria that we try and give people for allowing you, to accepting you into your LinkedIn community is, would you refer that person to somebody else? So that opens up another can of worms is, who do you refer, who's right to refer, and do you feel comfortable that the person you're referring to won't come and punch your lights out?
Right. You know, just to digress a minute on the influence thing, who here has been introduced by someone in this room to someone else? Okay, good. Every person here that has received an introduction needs to understand that the person who introduced you used their own words to describe you. You don't know what they're saying. Some of the people that are here as guests were just told to come. They weren't told anything about what we do, who we are, why it's important. They didn't have to give our 30-second commercial. They just said so. And that's what you're looking for. You are looking for somebody that's going to use that type of influence to introduce you, just because you said so. That takes time to create. Now, I also want to say that if you're a new member and you haven't done business with someone in the group, because this comes up all the time, how can I recommend you? I don't know how you do your work. I don't know how you do your work, but 15 other people in the group can testify on your behalf. And because I'm affiliated, that's good enough for me. And that's what this is all about. This is about influence and relationship, and not transactions and 100 contacts that you don't know. If the people as guests today are looking for a high-quality, relationship-oriented organization that will leverage into business, then this is the place for you. And I really do want to say, and it's not for me to say this on Bob's behalf, and it might sound like we're selling something, but Bob and I have a responsibility to encourage you to bring your friends. Those people that matter most to you that need connection. It is not self-serving. We're not asking you to do our job, but it is an important point today that every person here needs to embrace for yourself, because it's the same thing for you. You want people that you do business with to recognize your excellence and recommend you. That doesn't happen just because you want it to. It happens because you're in action and you're interested in other people's well-being. Danny said it. We have heart here. We are authentic. We are concerned about your future. We're concerned about each other. Go find it somewhere else. I don't think it exists. and that's why we're 25 years old. And we're surviving in a sea of networking groups. We're not a networking group. That's not what we do here. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I have my cards here. I said to Bob about a week ago, we are networking coaches. If you want to look at us in some way, shape, or form, beyond what we provide you as a format and an environment. If you're having questions about your networking because it feels like it's not producing or it's frustrating or any number of things, please ask the questions so we can help you understand. One of the things about Sandler, if I might add to this, is the networking is one thing, getting opportunity is another, but actually knowing what to do with the business after is where there's a critical access point. And if your skills are not where they need to be, you will get a lot of opportunity, but you may not be closing enough business. And I just want to point out that the Sandler system, if you're not familiar with it, is something that you should become familiar with, because all of this energy that you're putting into networking, into your relationships, can only go so far. Now, I'm going to say that if one person in this room recommends Bob, that trust gap is closed, and that person is going to make their own decision based on their own experience and what they want. But it doesn't also happen without Bob having a conversation that is a selling conversation. I said before, your selling is like this. In the scheme of things, this is where it happens. Talk to the man.